All right, y'all. Today I want to talk to you on this episode about a evolution, if you will, with Thousand Trails camping membership. A lot of stuff going on, so just stick with me, and we'll go over it in just a minute, right after this intro. Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I think I wanted to talk to you about Thousand Trails, not just one specific part, but Thousand Trails in general. I've been a member of Thousand Trails for, I don't know, probably about 15 years, and have found it to be, at times, way more useful than others. When I first started off, my wife and I were just camping on weekends, and it was a little bit expensive, not real bad. It was still a value then because we camped probably 8 or 10 times a year at least. But I think if you do the math, you can figure out whether it'll be worth it with your style of camping. So you figure out how many times you're going to go camping in a year and how much you're going to pay for annual membership. The annual memberships are not too bad, but they're very limited. So they do. You only have like 90 days or 60 days or something like that to make your reservations, and that gets to be a little bit of a hassle because if you have the camping pass, that's like your entry level membership. So what you find out is that if you wanted to go to a really desirable spot, let's say Thousand Trails Orlando, for example, that's a really nice campground, well maintained and very desirable. But it has, I think, somewhere around 1,600 sites there, so it's not hugely difficult to get in, but with a 60-day reservation window, you're probably going to be dependent on reservations that get canceled, and you can pick up one of those if you right place, right time. So the more advanced memberships, they have memberships that will allow you to book out as far as 6 months in advance. So, but that's not what I really wanted to talk to you about. So this year, for the first time, Thousand Trails is assigning sites when you come in. Previously, they've all been first come, first serve, and I'm finding that there is a great deal of there's two schools of thought on that. A lot of people, I thought myself, I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I think it's the best thing Thousand Trails has done in the past 15 years. But there are those that feel differently. There are those that really are very contentious about the fact that Thousand Trails has now gone to assigning sites. Now, to me, just basic logic would tell you that if a campground is assigning you a site and they're asking for the size of your RV and how many slides you have and getting all that pertinent information to make sure that they get you on the site that best suits your camper or your RV, that's just it seems like everybody would love that system, because I can't tell you the frustration that you feel when you're driving a 45-foot long motorhome with 4 slide outs and you come into the campground. God help you if you're coming in on a Friday or Saturday, but you come into the campground and you have to drive around and find a spot that'll fit your rig. Now, I don't know. I've had some people tell me, well, you just park your rig at the front and then you get in your towed vehicle and you drive around and you find a spot. Well, that's all well and good, but you may get your rig over there and find out, oh shoot, this spot is not as big as it looks once I put my rig in it. So that's a little bit of an inconvenience. and it's a great deal of stress that you start building up when you're heading to the campground. I found myself, just hammering down trying to get to the campground because I see somebody that's headed in the same direction toward the campground that I'm going to, and so it's basically a drag race because at least I can get there ahead of them and get, maybe have a better sight. But with a 45-foot long rig, and I would say some of the Thousand Trail spots anywhere from 35 to 45 is going to be a struggle. So if they're assigning a site, they know, which sites will fit which rigs. I feel like most of them has measured them. Now I'm currently at Chesapeake Bay in Gloucester, Virginia, and it's a very nice campground. It's my favorite campground in Virginia. Just because it is so spacious. The sites are decent size, but there are some smaller sites here, and many times when I had my Monaco La Palma before I got this rig, it was 34 foot long, and I can't tell you, it's been at least 3 or 4 times that the only spots that were available, which I really liked. There's a little area here called Eville, which is a completely wooded area, and prior to this year it's always been 30 amps, but it's so shaded over there that 30 amps is good because you only need to run one air conditioner and you're fine. But this year they've upgraded all of that to 50 amps, so but the sites over there are shorter, several of them, and by the time I would get here with my Monaco and go over there and start looking around, it seems like inevitably I would end up on this one site that my rig barely fit on. I mean, the front bumper was right on the edge of the road, and the back of the rig was in the trees. So this year that site has been cleaned up a lot. They've gotten rid of a lot of the trees down by the pond, and you can back in even farther now. So they've done some work here, and made the place better, in my opinion. So, but as far as the reservations go, this is the 10th Thousand Trails that we've stayed in this year. This is we've only had problems in one so far, and it wasn't this one. Although I have talked to several people that really got here and the site that they were assigned wasn't what they wanted, or wasn't what a lot of it is exactly that. It's not what they wanted, and I don't. I'm pretty much flexible. I can work with whatever they give me, as long as if it's got enough room for my dog pen and maybe a clamshell tent somewhere on my site. I'm usually pretty good with that, and and my rig will fit on it, and there's a place to park my car. That's what I require, and a lot of times the place to park my car don't even have to be on my site. I mean, if I got to walk down 3 or 4 sites to a place to park the cars, usually I'm okay with that. But a lot of people are not. So you get people that's really disgruntled about the fact that they are now assigning sites. The only time that I had a problem was in Yamasee, South Carolina. And when we got to the site that they assigned us, it was very tricky to get my rig into the site, and it was a pull through. But there was a big, picnic table thing that was built into the ground out there beside an electrical transformer. So it was very tight, and had the hairs on the back of my neck standing up for a little bit while I was trying to get in there. But I did manage to get in. But once I got in, I discovered that I wasn't going to be able to open my slides because there was trees, or sometimes I think it was trees on both sides basically. So there was 2 of my slides I would not be able to open. So I just called to the office and explained the situation to the lady. She said, "Okay, well, you can move straight across to whatever the site was that she gave me." So I ended up having to back down the road in order to get lined up for that site, but that wasn't a big deal. But so we had a good time there, except the site flooded all the time. But that's the low country of South Carolina, so that happens. But as far as being accommodating to my rig the site was. There was enough room there to put my clamshell tent up. It stayed underwater for 2 weeks. So, but it wasn't underwater when I set it up, but it just happened to work out that way. After one good rain, it seems like it never goes away down there. Once it rains, it stays around for a while. But I did have room for that, and I had room for the dog pen, so I was good to go there. So the Thousand Trails is even the campgrounds themselves. Now, for this particular campground, I found that apparently a lot of these people that are so disgruntled are not. There's a process when you make your reservation with Thousand Trails, and you're going down the form. There's a little thing down there that says SMS, I think it's SMS opt-in, and if you click that box, they're going to send you text messages. If something happens and your site, they discover they have no electricity on the site before you get there, they'll send you a text message. And also, one of the things that they send you is a check-in, a online check-in. When you get that online check-in, it'll have your site assignment on the check-in. You need only to look at that site assignment and click on where it says map and go look at the map and see where it's at, and then you can pretty much get an idea, especially if you're familiar with the campsite, whether that site's going to work for you or not. And you can call and let them know if it's not going to work for you. Then you can call and see if they have something else available, and they're very accommodating like that. It seems like maybe Chesapeake Bay, somewhere along the lines, I've talked to so many people that are complaining about problems with this new system that I really feel like maybe Chesapeake Bay didn't do their part this year in preparation for this, because as I understand it, all of the campgrounds were advised to measure their sites and provide measurements and electrical hookups and all that information on each site to Thousand Trails so they can make the original site assignments. So the original site assignments comes from corporate, but then when you get your check-in, that comes from the actual campground. So that lets you know where, and it also has their phone number up there. So if you're unhappy with your site placement or site assignment, then you just call them and let them know, and they will make reasonable accommodations for you. For me, I think that it is such a great relief knowing that I have a site, being able to look at it on the map and see where it's at beforehand, and not have to worry about getting to the gate and asking the guard if there's anything that he knows of that's available that I could go look at, because they were pretty good about that here previously, but sometimes they don't know, or somebody this year they're asking you to stop and check in on your way out, but previous years that was not a requirement. You could just pretty much go on out. So now they know when your site is empty, and they know what they've got available. So if somebody comes up to the gate and needs a site that's bigger than the one that they've assigned them to, they can then use your site that you were on. So to me, I think for me, I kind of thought it was a no-brainer. It's like, that's way better. It's way better to have an assigned site, especially if you have a rig that's 35 foot or larger. And it blows my mind that so many people here are complaining about the fact that they don't like the assigned site thing. And I'm gonna tell you, in the past, I have come to this campground in a 35 foot long rig, and I'm driving around looking for a place that's suitable for my rig, and I can't tell you how many times I pass these little teardrop campers that are sitting on a 50 amp site with a tent put out there, and they don't need that. I mean, that little thing could go on any site out here. They've all got plenty of room for the tent for the most part. So, but they choose to first come first serve. I guess they figure they paid the same thing as everybody else did, so they want the best site available. So even though there's no need for them to have a 50 amp site, the camper could run on 20 amps actually, and but they choose to take a 50 amp site with full hookups, and which I full hookups is fine, but if you don't need 50 amps, don't take 50 amps, because there's somebody coming that needs 50 amps, and there's somebody coming that needs a 60-foot deep site, and you don't need to take it up with your 14-foot long camper. So so that's my pet peeve, but that's happened many times. In fact, I rode around yesterday here, and there is that exact I don't think they have a 10 up over there, but they do have a teardrop camper on a 50 amp site. It's not a 60-foot deep site, but it's substantial for a 35-foot motorhome or 35-foot travel trailer, and there's this little teardrop sits on the spot. I may include a picture of that on here, but I'm including a couple of pictures so you can see, kind of the things that we've got. We've got campers that are right on the edge, and campers that are taking up 10% of the site because they're a tiny little camper, and they're really just being inconsiderate, if you ask me. But that happens. Unfortunately, you always find somebody that's willing to walk through your site or walk through somebody else's site, or that there's etiquette seems to be a lost thing for some campers. But y'all know, if y'all are on the road camping, it's for the most part it's you run into only the best people and the friendliest people. So that's always a blessing. So at any rate, I just thought I would take a few minutes and share that with you. If you have a Thousand Trails membership and you haven't had the opportunity to get out this year yet, expect that. Expect the site to be assigned to you, and if you go back in and edit your reservation and select that SMT opt-in box at the bottom, you'll get a check-in, online check-in prior to arriving, and it'll tell you what your site assignment is, and you can look at it before you get there. So to me, great upgrade, and but apparently it's not great for everybody. But I don't know. So I guess it's my turn to be happy. So at any rate, y'all have a wonderful day. It's a pretty decent day here, a little cloudy, but at least it's not raining right now. We've had plenty of rain lately, but not raining today. So, and my wife is supposed to be back tomorrow, so happy day. So and remember, I'll see if I can get this straight. When camping, take only photos, leave only footprints. Travel safe. We'll see you next time. So before I go, let me ask you, put it in the comments if you have a Thousand Trails membership and you use it. Let me know what your opinion is about assigned sites. Apparently I'm in the minority, so let me know if you're in the minority too, or if you're in the majority that seems to think that it was better with first come, first serve. I don't like fighting for them, but put it in the comments and let me know. And y'all hit that like and subscribe button and follow us. Y'all have a good day. Catch you next time.